Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on a bright, sunny Christmas Eve. Not a hint of weather at all. In the wake of yesterday's frontal change, we got gusts of really, really strong wind, the kind that just blows right through an old house like this, so you can literally feel the current in the air in the middle of the room. But those blasts of cold air, breeze and whatnot went away, and now it's just a standard, very cold, clear Christmas Eve day. And we've got a bunch of mail. I don't think any more will be coming today, but let's see what we have here. Let's see. I'm hoping that a lot of this will be 2023 stuff. Okay, yes, this is 2023. This is May of 2023. What we got here? This is Glassworks by Olivia Wolfgang Smith. A novel, once again, a fairly attractive American cover. This is the author's debut. Fantastic. My old reaction is that it's fantastic, since now that means it's 100% autofiction. It's more tempered than fantastic. This is an expansive family saga following both the Blood family and Found family across 4 generations to explore the secrets they keep, the legacies they leave, and how they chafe against society's prescribed expectations for gender and sexuality. Yes, because in the 21st century, the term Found family means better than yours. This is a novel full of warmth and heartbreak and characters that feel achingly real. And it starts, I guess, the action starts in 1910. Agnes Carter makes the wrong choice in marriage. After years as an independent woman of fortune, wielding influence on the board of a prominent university because of her financial donations, she is now subject to the whims of an abusive husband who squanders her fortune. But when bohemian naturalist and glassblower Ignaz Novak, hired by the university to create delicate glass models of the natural world, reignites her passion for science, she begins to imagine a different life, and she sets her mind to getting it. Okay, so this is a historical novel. Her desperate actions breed secrecy in her life, and the resulting silence echoes into her future. Oh, okay, so this will be multi-generational. I think we covered that. 4 generations. Her son Edward tries to make his way as a man of faith, but he struggles with all he does not understand about his parents, the meaning of family, and the world at large, while working at a stained glass studio. In 1986, Edward's child Novak is an acrobatic window washer cleaning Manhattan's high-rise buildings, so a theme of glass all throughout. Interesting. A compulsive caretaker soon caught up in the plight of Cicely, a small-town girl remade as a gender-bending Broadway ingenue. In 2015, Cicely's daughter Flip, a burned-out stoner trapped in purgatorial cohabitation with her ex-girlfriend and a bureaucratic job firing cremains, that's cremated remains, into keepsake glass ornaments. Again, with the glass, she's blasting people's ashes into them. But anyway, Flip resolves to break the cycle of inherited secrets, reaching back through the generations in search of a family legacy that feels true. Okay, so I know that this is cynical of me, but I've been badly burned by 2022. All I want to know about the author's biography is her connection with glass. That's all I want to know, and I shouldn't, because this sounds really good. But let's find out. Olivia Wolfgang Smith's fiction has appeared in Salamander, Ninth Letter, The Common, and elsewhere. She holds an MFA in creative writing from Florida State University. She originally hails from Rhode Island and lives in Brooklyn with her spouse. Okay, no mention of glass, so maybe she made some of this up, which would be remarkable. Considering when this was generated, that would be remarkable. Good, great. We're off to a fine start. Let's pick another envelope here. We've got a couple of boxes, including a big one that's a priority mail box. So probably from one of you. Probably breaking rule number 1. What have we got here, though? This next one has no sheet to it. No, it does not. This is also 2023. This is June. That's one of the latest ones that I have so far. This is by Elizabeth Currid Halkett, and it is called The Overlooked Americans. the resilience of our rural towns and what it means for our country. And there you have a very standard American small town. What do we got here? This comes out in June. The United States appears to be deeply divided. Journalists have painted a portrait of an enraged America where poor, conservative small towns are at war with affluent, progressive cities. In fact, the nation is less divided by geography than many think. In The Overlooked Americans, public policy expert Elizabeth Curran Halkett breaks through stereotypes about rural America. She traces how small towns are doing as well or better than cities by many measures. She also shows how rural and urban Americans share core values, from opposing racism and upholding environmentalism to believing in democracy. When we fixate on the far-right fringe, we overlook the millions of moderate rural Americans who are content with their lives. I know a lot of those moderate rural Americans, and I could not agree more. And one of the main culprits that increases the divide that the nation is feeling is the mainstream media, which will every once in a while decide that it needs a goose in its ratings by doing a lovingly affectionate portrait of a small-town Nazi who's got swastika tattoos all over his face, and they take a picture of him pushing a cart with his groceries at the local Winn-Dixie and wondering why people don't hire him. Anyway, so who is the author here? The James Irvine Chair in Urban and Regional Planning and Professor of Public Policy at the University of Southern California. And she's the author of 3 previous books, and she lives in LA. So she doesn't live in small-town America. I wonder if she ever did. I wonder if she has any actual lived experience with her subject. Very interesting. Well, a long way off for me. I don't have to worry about a June book now, that's for sure. Let's just keep going here. We've got a bunch more packages to do here, and then the huge box. We'll save the huge box for the end. Let's see. This next one. So it's a finished copy of some kind. What have we got here? Huh. Okay. It's a graphic novel. With a lot of information attached to it. What we got here? Oh no, okay, this is a holdover from yesterday. This is a 2022 release. So I won't be doing anything with this, but let's see what it is, because this will be in your bookstores. You might be interested in it. Yeah, this came out on November 22nd of this year. A hand-drawn graphic novel from Whiting award-winning author Clifford Thompson. What other kind of drawing would there be? A computer drawing, I suppose. This is Big Man and the Little Men by Clifford Thompson. So there we go here. In it, a writer navigates shady and potentially deadly political campaigns in this vibrant graphic novel about unconscious bias and how the cynical exploit it. April Wells, a celebrated African-American memoirist and essayist, lands a writing assignment unlike any she's had before, covering the presidential campaign of presumptive Democratic nominee William Waters for a high-profile magazine. Waters, a well-spoken progressive with lofty ideals of unity in diversity, faces the polar opposite in his Republican challenger, an anti-intellectual narcissistic Lee Newsom, who seeks to gain power by sowing division. Ahead of the Democratic National Convention to be held in April's hometown, Waters must also contend with a potential Achilles heel, persistent rumors that he has cheated on his wife with young male staffers. Not like any graphic novel I've ever heard of. It's very interesting. At first excited about the assignment, April sometimes feels out of her depth and wonders why she was chosen instead of a veteran journalist. When a woman contacts her accusing Waters of sexual assault, April is torn. Should she do her job and report this? Or should she sit on it in case the damage to Waters' reputation would help Newsom win the presidency? Events spiral out of control, and April, feeling that her life may be in danger but mistrusting the police and the FBI, thinks of one person she can count on, the Big Man, that's with a capital B and a capital M, a stalwart friend from her hometown, now its mayor. Along with his stalwart crew of little men, they set out to unravel a gripping mystery that goes all the way to the top. Okay, well, this is, it's out already. It cannot possibly make my list for best fiction or anything like that. I'll give you sample of the hand-drawn artwork. Go. It's the hand-drawn artwork there. So this isn't actually in the running for anything, so to speak, in the running for anything that I would write about or do anything with, but it sounds interesting. I will read it tonight. At least I'll do that. Then we've got this next one. This next one has some weight to it. Could be a finished copy. Let's see. Let's see if this is another 2022 release. People are just getting these things off their desks in preparation for the holiday. Just get here. Extra stuff. Don't need. And this is from Johns Hopkins Press? Yes, it is. Oh, I never hear from them. Okay. All right. It's virtually the Bible of material here. When all I really want to know. Okay, this is a January. This is a January release. So good. This is next year. This is Immeasurable Outcomes: Teaching Shakespeare in the Age of the Algorithm by Gail Green. Another very nice cover. The liberal arts have been the basis for the most successful and productive educational system in the world, the font of originality and creativity that has generated more scientific breakthroughs and technological innovation than any other. America owes its power and prominence to an educational system that has, until recently, been the envy of the world. And yet this system has provoked a virulent backlash that, in combination with the pandemic, is bringing it to its knees. Okay, let's see here. Quote, "We do believe that there are certain intellectual luxuries that perhaps we could do without," close quote. So said California Governor Ronald Reagan in 1967 as he cut state support and called for tuition at the University of California, declaring that taxpayers should not be subsidizing intellectual curiosity. This was the opening shot of the war on education that's been steadily and stealthily undermining public funding and confidence in education ever since. Not only post-secondary, but K through 12, where curricula have been stripped of the liberal arts to make room for testing. Gail Green draws on her experience as a student and teacher at a wide variety of colleges and universities, including Berkeley, Columbia, and the University of Chicago, Stanford, and Scripps College. Okay, so she knows what she's talking about. She's been inside the system she's writing about. And Scripps College, a small liberal arts college where she taught for 40 years. Good Lord. In this book, she turns a sharp eye on the forces that have been threatening education for over half a century and demonstrates how it can be saved and why it must be. This book addresses hot-button issues that have been in the headlines for years and brings to light issues that have not been discussed, showing how the crisis of liberal arts is caused in part by the problems K through 12 have been embroiled in, so-called reforms, and how the undermining of education is threatening this country's capacity to continue as a democracy. Since the beginning of this century, K through 12 public schools have been groaning under a top-down system of high-stakes standardized testing. It's the second time that's cropped up. I've heard this from some teachers that I've known, that the focus is all on testing now, to the exclusion of anything that doesn't help that doesn't help testing outcomes. That's deprived teachers of autonomy and alienated students, leaving them woefully unprepared to deal with a complex, changing world. No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, and Common Core have reduced teaching to a system of testing and assessing that's draining all the meaning and joy from learning. Ooh, that sounds really good. Okay, so this comes out in January. I imagine this is going to be of interest to all of you teachers out there. How are we going to do this, baby? How are we going to do this? I want to put the book somewhere, but I don't want them to pile them on top of you. It's very comfortable, stretched out right here. Let's put the book somewhere and hope they don't disturb you. I don't know how we're going to handle this with the big box, but we'll do the little box to start with. We have a little box before we get on to the big priority mail box. Let's see what this one is. Finished copy. Good. Very good. Throw all this junk on the floor. Okay, this is a February release. Good. This is also in the new year. This is oh, goodness gracious. All right, this is Emily Hund wrote this, and this is called The Influencer Industry The quest for authenticity on social media directly involves a sexy influencer like myself. Before there were Instagram likes, Twitter hashtags, or TikTok trends, there were bloggers who seemed to have the passion and authenticity that traditional media lacked. The influencer industry tells the story of how early digital creators scrambling for work amid the Great Recession gave rise to a multi-billion-dollar industry that has fundamentally reshaped our culture, the flow of information, and the way we relate to others and ourselves. The Great Recession was 2007, 2008. I was keeping a blog for a decade before that. Drawing on dozens of in-depth interviews with leading social media influencers, brand executives, marketers, talent managers, trend forecasters, and others, the author shows how early industry participants focused on creating and monetizing digital personal brands as a means of exerting control over their professional destinies in a time of acute economic uncertainty. Over time, their activities coalesced into an industry whose impact has reached far beyond the dreams of its progenitors and beyond their control. The author illustrates how the methods they developed for creating, monetizing, and marketing social media content have permeated our lives and untangles the unforeseen cultural and economic costs. This book reveals how, in an increasingly fractured and profit-driven communications environment, the people we think of as real, in quotes, are merely those who have learned to exploit the industry's ever-shifting constructions of authenticity. Or they could be authentic. Your quest for authenticity on social media would have a very happy and very quick conclusion if everyone on social media were authentic. But instead, people go into social media wanting to succeed at it mainly because they want the image not of a successful creator, but of an embittered, cynical, successful creator. Someone who turns the microphone off, checks to make sure the audio is cut, and then says, crap, I hate this. I hate these people so much. They want so much from me. I've got to make sure to plot out every personal detail. If somebody so much as greets me on the street, I'm going to slap them with a lawsuit. I hate this. I got to do 5 shows a week. I hate it. For some reason that completely eludes me, people that get into social media of all kinds don't just want the success. They want the disillusionment. They want the cynicism. It's like they saw that in a movie somewhere. And they think this is the ultimate, in reality, is me not only achieving this, but hating it. And it not being anything like me. So I'm going to walk up to the microphone with a look of pure hatred. I'm going to wait until the countdown finishes, and then I'm going to be totally fake. And then the minute the recording goes off, I'm going to be back saying, I hate this stuff so much. I don't understand why anyone would want to be that way. I don't understand how anyone could put a price monetarily on what would be enough money to make them live like that. And yet that is the goal for a lot of people who get into social media of any kind, including, weirdly enough, a little subset of YouTube devoted to books. Don't understand it, never will. The book is certainly right up my alley. That will be very interesting. But then we have the box, the big priority mail box. So it had to come from one of you. Do we have the guilty party here? Oh, oh no. Okay. All right. This is not a violation of rule number 1 because this comes from the stamp on it is the Wethersfield Proctor Library, which means those of you who might be new to our little corner of the world here, the Wethersfield Proctor Library means Mark Richardson, who is the library director of the Wethersfield Proctor Library, and who can break rule number 1 all he wants. So what have we got here? Oh, it's a box of books. Oh, I know what these are. He recently came into a motherlode. Any of you have watched, Mark doesn't make as many videos as he used to. He's an incredibly busy guy. But if you watch his videos, you know that despite the fact that he lives on Dirt Road, Vermont, in the middle of a forest, he manages to find books like you wouldn't believe. And I know from firsthand experience that is possible up where he lives. He mentions often that the rich pickings probably comes from the fact that all of the charity shops and secondhand shops and whatnot that are up there are all being regularly fertilized by a very big academic community only an hour's drive away. That you're bound to get the residuals of that one way or another. He recently came into another hoard of books, and he has sent me a small bit from that hoard, all, if I remember correctly, romances, and including this one, which really does ring a bell. This has got to be from the early '90s. Yes, 1997. This is Christine Michels, and this is Beneath a Crimson Moon. Love in Another Time, Another Place. Looks like Arizona. But then again, doesn't it always? So, let's see. Let's just go through here. Oh, that's right. I'm thinking that some of these have to wing their way up to Canada. Some of these have to make their way to Sarah at the Bookish Knitter. Because some of these, if I remember correctly, are old Harlequin romances, which she actually collects. They'll be fascinating for me to read, but she actually collects them, and these might be things she doesn't have. Here we have an old uh, Harlequin romance from 1986, 2 Weeks to Remember. That's just straight up Harlequin, not any of the categories. Here's a Harlequin super romance, Family Fortune. Looks like a lion from the public library on the background there. Uh, this is Serenade. Boy, I don't know that. An inspirational romance, Serenade. Sarah would know what this is. This is a historical novel, Winter Spring. They're in a birch bark canoe there. A Serenade saga. Okay. Let's just keep going here. Oh, look at these. Why? I know this author. I don't know this book, of course. This is A Harlequin Presents, not a Harlequin romance, but A Harlequin Presents. This is A Naked Flame. And then we have another Serenade saga. I guess these were historical. The outfits are 19th century, but the hairdos are 1980s or 1970s. So 1985, yes, okay. So this is Hand Me Down the Dawn. Not long things, but it's historical, it looks like. I don't know what I'm reaching for here. Then we have Harlequin Presents. This is Kay Thorpe. That name rings a bell, but not for Harlequin. Steel Tiger. There we go. These are going to be so much fun to read. But I'm also going to. I should obviously be sending these up to snowy Vermont. No, past Vermont to Canada. This is Wendy Prentice. This is a Harlequin Presents Conditional Surrender. I'm not sure that Sarah would want the normal romances in here, but I know she'll want these if she doesn't have them already. We have Sandra Martin from This Day Forward. Notice the trend. You can see it in the old Regency romances that I love, but you can also see it in Harlequins. The trend that some of you will notice this when you're looking at these covers, that the men are much older than the women. That was a standard thing in romances. I know it. I know that it's true in the old Regency romances, the old Signet Regency romances that I love, that often the man is twice the woman's age. He's old enough literally to be her father. And you can see it in the covers. It's reflected in the covers. But I'm noticing it here as well. Until the romances get a little bit further in time, that convention starts to go away on its own. It starts to be that it's no longer acceptable for the protagonist in a movie, for instance, for the male lead in a movie to be twice the female, the love interest age. And that stops being true in the books as well. The men start getting younger and sexier. Here we have Lee Michaels. I know that name. This is A New Desire, another Harlequin Presents. Looks like they're in a store of some kind. And she looks skeptical, and you can see right away the change in time, right? The change in what's acceptable, even on a romance cover, because he's grabbing her, and he shouldn't be. Let's see. Another Harlequin Presents? Yes, another Lee Michaels. This is With No Reservations. See, the men are getting buffer and younger. The gap is starting to. I think the mid 80s, the late 80s were right around when that started to end, and that has not come back. Emma Goldrick, A Heart as Big as Texas. I wonder, Sarah's not possibly going to have all of these. There's surely going to be some that I can box up and send her. Oh my. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, well, I won't be sending her all of them then, will I? This is Count the Stars by the great Barbara Cartland. Look at that cover. I have no Barbara Cartland. None at all. This is going to be a joy. Just a joy to read. Uh, oh, is this a Harlequin historical? Yes, it is. Oh my. A Harlequin historical. Look at that. So this is going to be the mid 90s then, I would gather. 1996, yes. This is by Tori Phillips. This is called Fool's Paradise. And the reason I said this is going to be the mid 90s instead of the early 90s is because it has no secondary artwork. The Harlequin historicals, it used to be that you had the cover and then you had original artwork in here or original artwork on the back as well. Different artwork. A continuation of the story of the cover. And that, I guess, was expensive because that stopped. That was phased out in the mid 90s. In the early 90s, that was true, but not anymore. So, when does this take place? Is this a Regency? When fleeing an odious arranged marriage, Lady Elizabeth Hayward found herself under the protection of the famed court jester, Richard Tarleton. But even disguised as a fool's boy's apprentice, there is no hiding the fact that she's fallen hopelessly in love. Okay, so do we have a date for this? When is this? 1586. Oh my. Okay, so the late Tudor period. Excellent. All right, great. Wow, this is so nice of Mark to do this. Oh, all right, this one is not a romance at all. Wow, though, how fantastic. Now, this is an author who's not well enough known anymore. He's out of print, but he's terrific, absolutely terrific. His name is Alfred Duggan. He wrote a ton of great historical fiction, and this is his novel Three's Company. It shouldn't have that title, obviously. It shouldn't have the cliche as a title, but this is about. Well, let me see here. Let me see if it will tell me. Oh, this thing has seen better days. No, it doesn't tell me. But anyway, this is the contest for power that ended Republican Rome. So I was deep in reading about this. I read Froude's book Caesar, a Sketch, and really I was a reread and I loved it even more. Just loved it, and that sank me into a little rabbit hole of reading about the end of the Roman Republic, and that very much included fiction. And here I have a great example. I will reinforce this. And now I have just a physical copy to read. What is this? Oh, it's another Barbara Cartland. Oh, wow. This is called The Irresistible Force with a very sketched cover there. That's very interesting. And there we have the lady herself with one of her Pekinese. She was probably, at the time this picture was taken, 300 years old. But at the time that picture was taken, you did not need to advertise who Barbara Cartland was. You didn't need to describe what the book was. It was a new Barbara Cartland. That was good enough. Oh, here's another one. Good Lord. Winged Victory by Barbara Cartland. Fantastic. I wonder which one she's in love with. And here's our author again with a different Pekingese. It's very, very interesting. Oh, man. These are just... right, so we're running out of books at last? Yes, we are. Another Barbara Cartland. Oh my, I have 3 Barbara Cartlands here. This is Pure and Untouched. She's fiddling with the gas lamp. That wouldn't be my first priority. But notice, he's twice her age. And there is Barbara Cartland in a different setting, Sans Pekingese. And then we will finish as we started with a big, is this the 1990s, 1997. This is by Deborah Hamilton, and it is Damsel. Just as simple as that. She's studying him. He is thinking about his macros. As children, they had played together. Hunter Kinshala, a groundsman's son, and Tamsin Cullen, a beautiful peasant girl who longed to be a lady. Her desperate need made her the perfect pawn in the plot of vengeance that would banish Hunter from his beloved Ireland. Now, 10 years later, Hunter is no longer the tender boy Tamsin knew, but a wronged stranger whose anger and desire she fears. Yet Tamsin refuses to surrender, for surely this passion will destroy her dreams of a better life. She will give nothing of herself to Hunter, not even one secret, silent moment of regret. And I probably saw this. I must have stocked it on the bookstore shelves, but I'm sure it never occurred to me to read it. And now I have a copy, so I will certainly read it. That is great. Well, this is going to make a Steve pyramid impossible. But I have a gigantic number of romances. And if I leave out the big normal ones and the Barbara Cartlands and the Alfred Duggans, that leaves all the rest of these. Uh, yes, yes, that leaves this to go into a box or an envelope and go up to Canada. If Sarah, I'll have to email her and see if she has these or not, because they have numbers, right? A lot of them have numbers, so she'll be able to tell if she already has them. She won't need doubles if she does. How fascinating! But we can do a Steve Pyramid for the normal books that we got. I'll have to send Mark an email and thank him for standing in a Christmas line. So we have the influencer industry. Sounds like it's as much about blogs from the aughts as it is anything else, as it is the influencers we think of today. We have the overlooked Americans, people living in small towns all across America. We have Glassworks, a debut in which a theme of glass traces through a family, one kind or another, one way or another. Very fascinating. We have Immeasurable Outcomes, that I think a lot of you teachers out there are probably going to want to put on a pre-order, because it's all about what's happened to teaching, not only in high schools and colleges, but K through 12. And finally, a graphic novel about a fraught political campaign, big man and little man. A reporter assigned to a presidential campaign who doesn't know what to make of an accusation, doesn't know where her loyalties lie. Fantastic. What an interesting mail haul. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. Tomorrow is Christmas. I was thinking about maybe doing the last Steve stream of the year tomorrow. I don't do anything really for Christmas, so I will have a lot of the day free. Maybe a Steve stream today. Who knows? But anyway, we should do a Steve stream, at least one, before the year is over. But anyway, that is the mail. So I'll wrap this up for now. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.